I'm just, yeah. So, yeah, I once in a while, Noah, I think it's your first time here. We do a Zoom meeting. We just talk about trivial stuff. Um, I like to ask questions to hear from everyone, your experiences, to see like what you guys, your personal experience, especially you being the newer guy. Shivani, she has she has probably like 7, 8 months of jiu-jitsu, maybe a little bit more. John already passed the year mark. Greg, he has
Morning,
20
everybody.
years on, 10 years off. And and he's in a good streak now. Let's see how much gonna last. But you can see that he's not getting any rest on a Sunday. He's on
It's my
his
rehab day.
Yeah, that's good.
Morning, good morning.
Good morning.
So I had a few questions. I know for Greg, I don't know if you're gonna remember. Oh, Lorenzo is here. Chris is here. Lorenzo. Long time I don't see Lorenzo. He's joining. Hey, Lorenzo, we miss you. Anyway, so I had a few questions. I remember when I joined Jiu-Jitsu, and of course for Noah, this is going to be easy to remember because you just joined. So it's easy to have, short memories. But I have this thing, like I always kept with me. What I felt that was the most struggling in the beginning, who I trained first for the very first time, who was my first training partner. I know his name. I'm still friends with him after 30 something years, and how he helped me. And I remember that my struggle, number one, was in Brazil, Jiu-Jitsu had such a bad reputation that it took me some time to decide to choose to do it. And then I felt like intimidated because Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys in Brazil always had that, not intimidated, but like I knew that I was getting into, say, a martial arts where people were always fighting on the street, and but I didn't want to get into that. But I knew that was like a, say, hostile environment. And I was wondering if you guys remember, how do you feel? Because the reason I am asking these questions is maybe some things I should change in the gym, to when people show up first, to see, if people feel intimidated because of, when you walk in, you see people fighting and etc. So how was your, if you guys want to share, how was your first day when you first saw, step in the gym, and do you feel like it was a tough decision? Was easier? Oh, this is really what I want to do. Did you feel like, um, and this is not a criticism to the team or anything like that. Um, you know, how do you feel? That's my question. How did you feel? Did you feel like, I was a little apprehensive? Oh no, I didn't care, or somebody brought me in, so I wasn't worried about it. You know what I mean? Who wants to be the first? Go
I'll
ahead.
go.
Who
Uh,
goes?
Luciano brought me in, so it was not really intimidating.
Oh, yes. Oh, Lorenzo. I thought it was another Lorenzo. Oh, that's good that it's you, Lorenzo.
Yeah.
So go ahead. Say it again. So who brought you in?
Well, Luciano brought me in. So on my first day, I was on the way there. It was a little scary. I was like, "Oh, this is a new thing." But once I went in there, it was like everyone was really friendly, so it was
How
not that scary.
how do you feel as far as like, closer to wrestling? It was easier for you to pick up because of the wrestling background that you had. How did you feel?
Actually, it felt like a little harder because of the wrestling, because I kept turning to my back
I see.
or
Yeah,
onto my stomach. Not
yeah,
my back.
I know what you mean. Like exposing your back.
Yeah.
Do you feel now that you have, whenever you go back to wrestling, do you feel that you will know how to separate the two things?
I do, yeah. Because I've
That's
been practicing my wrestling as well.
Oh, that's cool. If you can practice in parallel, it does help a lot to, like I said in class, right? When you go to wrestling practice, you talk to yourself and go into the wrestling mode. you know. And when you're in your jiu-jitsu practice, you talk, you know, to you, if for real, like, okay, I'm doing jiu-jitsu now, so I can go on my back. So it's good that you're doing parallel, so you can train those two switches very quick, you know. What about you, the other guys?
I got something to say.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
Yeah, Mark Nopes brought me in November, December of I think it was 2019, and I was welcome in there right away. I felt like everybody's a big family, and ever since day one, I felt welcome. And I've gotten a lot of feedback from new people who've come in there that feel the same way. And that's the biggest thing for me was or for me still the family atmosphere. And I feel that with the amazing instructor that I have
Uh,
and the instructors that and I'm not just saying this because you're on, because I always tell people this. I feel like I've gotten a lot better, that I've learned a lot, and it's very welcoming, and I love it.
cool. Thank you. What about well, let me go to Rob. And I just want to, because John, you didn't have a background before, right? Fighting background or anything like that.
No,
No,
I just played soccer.
yeah,
That
and
was it.
I remember you doing some kickboxing, something like that, right? Like just practicing on your own or something
Yeah,
like that.
just practicing on my own and stuff. But I've fallen more into liking jujitsu a lot
Mm,
more. I like them both, but I'm really starting to like jujitsu. It was definitely hard, not coming from a background, but like I said, I absolutely love it now, and the family atmosphere is definitely what I love, the most, and the sport, of course, too.
thank you. What about you, Rob? Did you have any background before?
No, not really. The only other martial arts I had done was, in middle school, like Tang Sudo. But it was
I
nothing.
remember you saying that. Yeah. How
Yeah.
did you feel like? What was your, and that maybe a second question. What made you guys decide to do? You know, what was your main goal too? You know, so I would like to hear from you, like, well, how do you feel? Um, Maybe because you're more a quiet guy too. So,
Oh,
you know,
maybe that's
so
it. So I started in January 2019, and it was a little bit New Year's resolutions. But the reason why it was specifically this year, because I had reached out to you in 2017 thinking about it initially, but then I never came to the first class. We exchanged some emails, and you had told me about, just drop in at one of our classes, and I didn't pull the trigger back then. But then during 2018, there was two instances that I thought like could have become a self-defense scenario that I had de-escalated in both, but I thought, geez, if this really had become something serious, then I have no clue how to defend myself. So that's what really had that, plus making New Year's resolutions is really what had gotten me in the door in January 2019, whereas in fall of 2017 I let other life things get in my way.
pretty cool. Go ahead.
The first day, I came in right when I came to, it was a Monday class. It was the beginner. It was the same 8:00 Monday class. I guess that's been there for years, right?
Yeah,
It
for
was that
19
class.
years.
Yeah. There was striking right beforehand, and I remember I was approaching the door. I could hear the pounds, and I was intimidated by the sound. Just walking in the door and hearing, I mean, I was like, holy crap, this is real. This is the real deal. This isn't,
Yeah.
this isn't the, I don't know. There's no soft touch to this. But I had met with, you weren't there that day. I had met with Sylvia for the first class. And it was a good experience. She gave me one of the keys, and she paired me up with Randy Booth,
That's cool.
who was great. He has a really good teaching manner to him. He showed me cross collar choke. He showed me how to do a hip escape. He had said, we're going to work on this, every time you come. So, I mean, he instantly, adopted a mentor type role to me, which was really very positive for me in the first, the first like 2 months or so.
Actually, this brings me up to another idea. it's just something that I heard from other schools. Somebody else also, I think, had. I'm gonna try to remember who gave me this idea of. I have to remember to give her credit, but I'll try. Somebody was talking about it would be cool if you know, we could assign a mentor, like well we do in the first class with somebody, like, hey, can you help this guy out, you know, but then have a, it's almost a higher rank will be responsible for that lower rank for a good amount of time, let's say, you know what I mean, like you my apprentice, you know. But it's just hard because not always people are going to be in the same class all the time, you know. But it was something like that was brought to me, like, oh Luigi, I think it would be cool if it would have a type of uh mentor apprentice type of maybe connection where even the brown belts or the black belts become more available to answer questions to their pupils, you know what I mean, like their apprentices. I think it was a cool idea, you know. It's
Yeah.
different though.
Says, Nobe says all the time, adopt a white belt program.
Yeah, I think, yeah, he got a point. I think it's definitely that's the idea. And then I'll go back to my second question after. Noah, you the newest guy here, so it's pretty much a month, a little bit over a month. So how did you feel like, and what was your goal? That's the whole thing.
I'd say Juan's the newest guy. Juan's been like 3 classes, right?
Yeah, 2 weeks. Actually, yeah, that's true. Juan is the newest guy. So then, so Noah and Juan, like I really want to hear. I know for Juan is super new now, and for Noah too. But that would be interesting to see how, you know, still fresh your memories. So Noah, you first, and then I'll ask Juan very quick while he's on his break there, taking care of patients. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, no, I just, initially, like I was, I too studied martial arts, specifically, like traditional Okinawan karate for a lot of years through my really young years and through my teens and 20s. And then, fell off for about 10 years. And then just recently, a few years ago, got back in, and then COVID happened. And so I was like, and then I moved. So a lot of life changes. So I just moved up to Danbury 6 months ago, and I wanted to get back involved with something. So I found the school online, and what was initially sort of appealing, what actually wasn't the jiu-jitsu. I've always wanted to sort of learn some Muay Thai, and I like the idea of like incorporating multiple disciplines with like the MMA classes. So that's sort of what was interesting to me at first. So I came for the MMA and I stayed for the jiu-jitsu. No, but I'm like definitely more drawn to the jiu-jitsu. I like the structure, and I like the I like, it's like learning an entire new language, you know, and I hate being the new guy anywhere. So like that first day of walking in the door was also intimidating, particularly for me, just because like I've been the new guy like in a lot of different environments, and it's always, and like I hate it every time. But I have to say that like I was particularly struck walking into this school, this brand new school, and like you went out of your way. Like I think you were like in the middle of teaching, and you like took a break and said like, hey Noah, and you like walked over to me and welcomed me. And like that was such like a pivotal moment, because I knew at that point, I said, okay, this is a place where there's, you know, there's not ego, there's not any sort of barriers. It's just like you walk in the door and you're part of the team, and part of the family. So I that was like a memory I'll always have. And then meeting like the fellow students, like I think I was first paired up with Matt in the jiu-jitsu class. He was a great teacher. I would say that for me as a new guy, you know, I'll only here a month and a half or so. And I actually just broke my toe last week, so I might be out for a couple more weeks. But
welcome to jiu-jitsu.
Exactly. I was like, oh, it's initiation, it's cool. But you know, like just kind of getting the different training styles of different people. Maybe that is like a little bit too much at first, because I was still literally like okay, what do I even do? Like, what's the point of what am I trying to do here? But it is sort of helpful to just get like different people's perspectives. So that was helpful for me, like just working with different color belts throughout the last few weeks and learning how different people approach different things.
Very cool. Yeah. No, I like a lot to hear like all different the different perceptions, you know. It's very important, the brainstorming for me, so I can find other things to improve within the team. Now, your main goal was just like you looking for just a hobby, or there's any concern as far as like, oh, I want to get in better shape, or I want to be a better self-defender, I want to be a competitor? What was like, or just you looking just for an activity to get back into martial arts?
No, I mean, I think it's shift. I mean, my intentions with martial arts, I think, has shifted over the years. To now it's like really everything that it offers is what's appealing to me. Like, yes, I want to stay in good shape. Yes, I want to be able to, you know, help my family if God forbid we ever need help in that way. You know, I want to maybe I want to compete. You know, I'm not a
Yep.
very competitive person, but now that I'm in there and I'm feeling the energy, it is kind of you know, addictive, I guess, for
Yeah.
lack of a better term. So all of it.
No, I think it is jiu-jitsu. What made it jiu-jitsu addictive to me in a positive way was the endless search for answers to endless questions. I don't know if that makes sense. You know, it was not just being stubborn because I wanted to stop being tapped out, and I couldn't, of course, quit something because I was talking. I had dinner with Ross yesterday. Ross, our judo coach, because it was his birthday, and I was talking to him. Like, I think for me, I could never see myself in the mirror thinking like I quit and I didn't figure out how to stop that guy from getting me an armbar. And that was like so it was a mix of looking for answers, a little bit, no, a big amount of deal of ego, like probably positive or negative. I just not that I want to beat the guy that was always beating me. Sorry, but I wanted to just like not feel weaker than anybody else. You know what I mean? Like yeah, well, you can say it's an ego. So, but it's also the search for answers and then the logic behind. You know, I want to ask Sean, but let me just ask one thing because I think Greg has a different. Well, Greg came from old school, old times when you guys used to spar so much in kickboxing, Kempo with Cecil people, right? And then you fought kickbox, and then you got into jiu-jitsu in 2000, no, 90 something, 95, right? You said?
Like, see, I dabbled. So yeah, my background was, so I grew up in LA. I got in a lot of fights growing up. And what really got me into my dad was a martial artist, and my mom never let me sign up when I was younger because she thought I'd be too violent as a kid, just because there was a lot of fights going on.
Same thing. My mom used to say the same thing.
Yeah. And I just wanted to feel safer and feel better because I was always the smallest kid growing up. I mean, I started 10th grade, I was 5'4", 125 pounds in 10th grade because I was 14, so I was a year younger. In college, my junior year, we got into a bar fight with a bunch of locals. And as remember, me and this one guy were squaring off toe-to-toe, like rock'em sock'em robots. And I got home, I said, that's not the way to go. The next day, I was searching Yellow Pages. It was 1988, or 89, searching Yellow Pages for boxing. So I signed up for boxing. I did that for about 6 months. Same gym. I went to kickboxing because he had me spar with a kickboxer who kicked me in the face as I was boxing. I was like, what the hell is that? So I kickboxed. And then when I graduated college, I moved back to LA and I wanted to continue my training, where I found Cecil People's gym. So Hawaiian Kempo, it was in the hood. I was like one of two white guys there. And it was just a very street oriented fight to the death. We bit in class. We would figure out everything goes. Sometimes he would say lights are off. we would fight. He'd turn all the lights off, and you just fight your way through.
Should do
So
that.
I don't know if Luigi, I don't know if you met Cecil, but you know John Hackelman. So Hackelman would come and teach in our class twice a week. When Chuck was just Chuck Liddell, some karate guy with a mohawk, he wasn't even fighting then, and it was brutal. It was I loved it because it was street oriented, and at the time, no one knew anything about the ground. I was like, I'll never be taking the ground because I'll punch everyone to death, and it was very violent, and which I didn't mind, but I was very peaceful in the part of it. However, when the UFC 1 came around, I had two friends who fought in UFC 1. One of them was a Kempo guy who he got beat up. He had like an asthma attack in the middle of the fight. I went over to him. I said, Zane, what the fuck happened to you? You got your head stomped on. You were on the ground. And he said, I didn't know what to do when the guy got on top of me. So I've been visiting Hoist Gracie. And Hoist was teaching. He goes, Greg, you got to learn jiu-jitsu. Now, I met Hoist a year ago before the UFC. I was at a karate tournament, and Hoist came up to me where they had the Gracie in action videos, and they were trying to recruit people. And he's like, you got to learn how to do this. Watch my brother Hickson get into a fight on the beach. And he showed me some video. And then they started mailing me stuff. And I was like, this is really interesting, but I don't think they can take me. I can't imagine they'd get me to the ground. And then they were sending me the Gracie in Action Challenge videos. I went over to Jean-Jacques Machado's gym because I was going to do my Kempo and Jiu-Jitsu. And I saw it was the middle of summer, a bunch of sweaty guys hugging each other. And I said, there's no way I'm going in that gym, hugging anybody else, sweating on everybody. It doesn't make sense to me. So I left. 1994, I went to Colorado for a karate tournament. One of Cecil's highest ranking black belts was doing jiu-jitsu with Carlos Machado. He said, Greg, check this out. Show me the armbar. I was like, holy crap, this is really cool. So when we were fighting no holds barred at Cecil People's gym, I armbarred one of the guys and he bit my leg. And I was like, what the hell is that? so that was my first experience. 1995, I jumped into a jiu-jitsu tournament after my second jiu-jitsu lesson. Didn't even know what was going on. I mean, I was passing the guard back here. Took time off. And then the UFC started getting big. And I was in Colorado at the time. I trained with a guy named Pat Smith who fought in UFC 1.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
So he used to come to my gym all the time. And then he was an asshole. He used to come to the gym all the time. And then I trained with this guy, Larry Parker, who fought in Pride 1, 2, 3, and 4, and all these no holds bar guys. And my coach at the time fought in Abu Dhabi in 1998. So he was a jiu-jitsu guy as well. So we did a lot. We did some ground training. And so it was never formal. It was just, I'm good enough. Like no one get me to the ground. And then I moved to Connecticut. I moved to New York in 2001. I was retired from fighting. So I fought professionally. I was 5th in the world in light cruiserweight kickboxing. Wow. If I go back to California, I'm going to get my 7th degree black belt in Hawaiian Kempo, but
that's awesome.
I haven't gone back for my promotion. Cecil told me yesterday and I was just like,
oh, you should, man. So
he skipped. So I'm a 5th degree because he skipped my 6th because I'm 10 years overdue. But he goes, same thing happened to me. We're going to promote you to 7th degree, which is nice just because it's just fun. But
yeah.
So that's my background. But went to the war. So here's the difference between, and I'll get back to my jiu-jitsu story now, because here's where I think Luigi is way different and better because I've been to different gyms. When I first got here, I went to the War Memorial with John Pereira, did judo, but he told me it was jiu-jitsu. I didn't know any better. So we did a whole bunch of judo. Marco was there. Ed Epicello was a blue belt. Glover had just come to America, and Jim wasn't there yet. Jim was like 3 months after. And the 4 of us would just roll, 5 of us. And then on the weekends, Glover, Ed, and I would travel all across the state and find gyms to go to. And we would just grapple for 2.5 hours a day, 3 hours a day, Saturday, Sunday, because there was no instructors. We'd watch videos and train. Pereira promoted me and Glover to blue belt. And it didn't seem right. It didn't seem like I was a jiu-jitsu blue belt. It just felt like I was brute force. And I was doing tournaments and everything else. Went to a jiu-jitsu gym in Poughkeepsie, and I took off my belt, went back to white belt. And his whole goal was having all the students kick my ass because he thought it was to prove a point that I wasn't a blue belt. He was having me bullied and trying to have all the students kick my ass. Me being very competitive and not liking that very much, that didn't last very long. And so it was like I was in a fight every class. So then he promoted me to blue belt again 3 months after that because his blue belts, I was pretty brutal on them because I was pissed off. And then, and I was a lot younger. So I'm 51 now. So this was like 20 years ago, right? So I was just full of attitude and I'm very competitive, like
almost 30 years ago. It's not kidding.
Yeah,
no, 20. Yeah. I'm just messing.
And then, so we kept training. So then basically it was me, Ed, and Glover just trained on our own. And we went to New York. We went to the Bronx, my friend Justin Garcia's gym.
Yeah, Justin's a great guy.
You know Justin, really, really, really good black belt in jiu-jitsu, strong as hell.
Realistic.
And it was like, you just went there to fight. And we would go there and we would just fight. Then I helped them do their MMA. I'd go to Thornwood, Rob Kahn, I would train with him.
Yeah.
And so I was just training at a bunch of places. Luigi shows up and Glover says to me, hey, Greg, there's 2 Brazilians that just moved here and they're teaching at the Harambee Center in Danbury. He's like, you want to learn real jiu-jitsu with a real coach for the first time. So I get there and now I'm already on guard. So I'm eyeball. I'm not trusting Luigi. I'm not trusting the students because I'm thinking everywhere I go, someone's trying to kick my ass. Everyone's just brutal and kind of mean and test like the new guy. And Luigi was super welcoming. The English was really bad. Like we used to always tell Luigi the wrong words. So he'd talk about arm. We say, oh, this is your shin. And
the wrong body parts. That's probably like why I still mix up the body parts, maybe because
that was the funniest. But we used to see how we'd get you to mess up. But then when I went back there, Jim was there and some other guys we trained with at War Memorial, and it was actually just a really good group of people. But Luigi was super patient, and for me, jiu-jitsu was important because not only did I feel like I had a pretty good stand-up game, but it was a way to not be violent. And I'd been violent so much in my life that I wanted to pass away. I wanted something fun for me, for exercise. And the fact that every time I go into class, somebody was beating me at something and I couldn't remember things and I wasn't very good. And even now, like I feel like a brand new white belt again because I've been away for 13 years, but everyone welcomed me back. I was kind of intimidated. I walked back in, I'm like, okay, I told Luigi, when I come back, I think I should wear a white belt again because I haven't trained in so long. I forgot everything. And I figure, okay, I'm gonna walk in with a brown belt and everyone's gonna go, who's this asshole who's no good wearing a brown belt, and we're gonna prove ourselves and just beat them up. And so, which didn't happen. Like everyone was super nice, but the difference is Luigi was very patient in coaching, super technical, and the gym is very welcoming versus a lot of gyms I've been to. And I mean, we used to do like the Kempo gyms were a bunch of, back in the day, we're kind of a bunch of assholes. There was a lot of like dojo storming. And like if someone said something, you show up at their gym and you wait at the back door and try to chase them out the front door. And it was pretty rough. And so it's just way different here. The group is super nice, but the ability to learn has been accelerated because of that, because it's a very good environment. It's a safe environment. And the only thing I would say to the newer people is ask a ton of questions all the time. Ask and get different perspectives, because just because something works for Luigi or works for someone else who's smaller or different, you're going to see other techniques that you never thought of that someone makes their own or just does a little variation of. Like for me, now that I'm older, my body's broken. I can't move very well. So I have to be more patient and I'm very slower in my moves. Whereas the younger guys are super gung ho, but you'll learn something from everybody. But yeah, it's a weird journey. But for me, jiu-jitsu is probably the most fun I've had because it takes the most brains, and it's never ending. And it's only art where some guy with no muscle, looks out of shape, can basically take me and rip me in half. Whereas in striking, that's almost never going to happen. And so there's big differences in physicalities. And so, yeah.
What made you decide to come back after 10 years?
Yeah,
that's a good question.
So it's interesting. So I always wanted to come back. The reason why I quit, guys, was 2 reasons. One, I tore my bicep. I was training one of the fighters. Remember, Dan was getting ready for his U.S.C fight against Matt Arroyo.
Yeah.
I didn't warm up, and I got really mad at him because he wasn't striking. And so I was a striking coach for the MMA fighters.
Yeah.
And I remember throwing a left hook. It popped on the way there at my elbow, and then it landed and popped, and my bicep rolled up to here. So that was like that was this part where I'm like, okay, I'm injured, no big deal, because I came back with my cast on, but my daughters were getting older and they were playing soccer. I was coaching, and my wife said, you're gone in the city, working all day. Then you come back and you're coaching soccer. Then the other days you're not coaching soccer, you're going to jiu-jitsu from 8 till 10:30 at night. I see you on Sunday, so you got to give up something. And I said, well, I'm not giving up my girls. So that's why I left. Then I did a bunch, soccer was forever for them. They both ended up playing college soccer. So as they went to college, I wanted to come back like 4 years ago. I said I should come back, but I got into CrossFit. I started trying to compete, and I was trying to be the best in the world at CrossFit. And I got so into that I didn't have time for anything else. And then I kept thinking, I don't need to go back. I remember everything. I don't need to go back. I remember everything. And Luigi and I always stayed in contact. And I kept telling Luigi I'm coming back, and I never show up. And then so being a lifelong martial artist, it just that itch. I had to come back. And like, it sucked that I quit before my black belt. I probably quit. I was a brown belt for 2 years before I quit. So I don't know.
You were there. You were there. That's why I call the brown belt curse.
Yeah.
We had a few guys that got to brown belt. It's like you going to, I don't know, in Brazil, most of the colleges are 5 years. And then it's like you going for 4.5 years and then you're quitting in the last term, you know. I kind of did like, just a quick thing here I'm going to share with you guys.
And it wasn't the black belt that brought me back, by the way. It was just, I trained for 2 years after I got the brown. I just missed it. And then finally I said, you know what? I'm coming back. I got to get back. Oh shit. Look at me. Look how fat I was.
That's Greg. That's 2005. That's 2005. Greg right here.
Look at that belly. And go to the right. Hey, go to the right, Luigi.
To the right.
See that guy right there, John Inkledon?
Yeah, John Inkledon. Yeah. The
I remember
chiropractor.
him. So he and I were training together. We same rank and everything. He was a rodeo rider, 225 pounds, solid muscle.
Oh, really? Was it?
Grip, never lose. I don't know if you know Luigi. He died of brain cancer a year ago.
No way.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh my God, that's so sad.
It's crazy, right? Look at Luigi. Oh shit.
This is me. And I was, hold on, I got more. There's some people here that not worth talking about.
That's amazing.
That's I do have a bunch of let me just hold on a second. Where's open with? Oh my God, just like,
well, I just missed it. I missed Luigi. I missed the camaraderie actually, because I had so many friendships from jiu-jitsu. I just missed it. Oh, Laborio. That was when Laborio came in.
yeah.
Right?
So this is you. This is Glover.
Oh my God. Look at
And
Glover.
look at Jim. Hold on.
Look at Jim.
Jim. So for you guys know Jim with the hair, right? Like now, but he had no hair.
That's
Just
right. He had the
between us.
plugs.
This is Jim Fitzpatrick.
Wow.
And
And that guy right there to the right under the thing, Brian McLaughlin.
He's a great guy.
So John, Big John, and Brian were guys in New York where I went and went to the new gym. And those are the guys that the guy tried having kick my ass all the time.
Oh, okay.
And became one of the best in the world. Back then I used to kick his ass because he was smaller and he was newer. And then he started just destroying me.
Wow. So this is Liborio and Glover. Liborio is going to take down.
That's so
that's Glover. This is my former coach.
Oh, that's Deco.
Yeah, I split it from. Let me see who else is still here. I mean, so many people are not here anymore. I mean,
Yep.
Italo is in Abu Dhabi. This is Matt Morgan. He was showing up. Actually, Tom, a kid that just you guys see at 5 o'clock, 14-year-old kid. He just came back. That's his father. This guy went back to Brazil. That's Shaolin. The craziest guy. That's Luigi, handsome guy. Yeah, I have, and that's when Marco de Lima got his black belt in our school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then a little, but any other, anyway, just another story for another day. Yeah, I gotta find another one because I have one from the Newtown High School. Sean, I watched your interview with Dr. Brett. Actually, it was pretty cool too. So going back to the goals, when you started, like what made you start jiu-jitsu?
You're gonna make me follow that story, by the way. Holy shit!
Yeah, yeah, I want to hear it.
Are you Danbury Fire?
Yeah.
No, I'm
Nope.
Danbury EMS, but I'm Manchester Fire.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
up in Manchester.
You know Mark? You know
Yeah.
Mark Miguel?
Yes, yeah, Mark. I love Mark.
Good friend of mine.
My pillow guy,
Great dude.
Mark Liddell.
No, Miguel.
Oh, Miguel.
Miguel,
It's like my pillow guy.
one of those gay firefighters. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. So I started.
people gonna
my
cancel
cousin-
you, man. Don't say that. Anyway, go ahead.
Right. Sorry.
No, not just.
My cousin was in the Navy. He was doing a lot of jujitsu. So he told me about it, and then I had no idea what it was. I did like karate or something when I was a little kid, some striking at Olympia Sports in Brookfield. So I knew you guys were there. He told me my cousin he trained with you a few times. He said he recommended you. So I popped in, and my first class was, you did the standard scissor sweep mount. I'm like, this guy, once I felt you grab me, I was like, oh my God, what is it? You know, what's happening? I was like, but I just graduated the fire academy. So I was really fit. I was like, all right, he's big and a black belt, but I'm going to be really good here. I'm relatively athletic. And then you paired me off with Fred, purple belt Fred.
Yeah.
You know, and I outweigh Fred by like 40 pounds, and he wiped the floor with me. He just like ate me for breakfast. Like there's nothing I could do. And then I was like, all right, well, that guy's a purple belt. And then like, I don't know who it was. So I think Dave or Dan, remember blue belt Dan, football Dan, again, wiped the floor with me. So I was instantly hooked, because I don't have an answer for any of this stuff. And in your head, you fantasize that you're going to be able to do something in a fight. And I was like, I don't have an answer. So I was hooked right away. And I just loved, through my white belt, blue belt, I loved it, just getting smashed. You know, Graney would come in and just twist me up like a pretzel. And then he'd like, you know, I do the same wrong thing 5 times. And he's like, oh, you're a slow learner, huh? Try it this way. And then that would work. So negative encouragement works for me. That's how I learn better. But yeah, that's been my journey. And for the nothing nearly as cool, I didn't do any Kempo. I'd done some combatives with you, and I just hit the heavy bag for working out at work. But I'd say the best thing for new white belts is come all the time. Like Greg said, talk to every single person you can. If they're good, you know, if you like their style, like how they move, ask them questions. And if you come to every class you can, come to open mats. And I can also recommend, don't just roll until you're dead at an open mat. If you get like 3 or 4 good rolls in, maybe grab another white belt or a blue belt and drill that week's passes, or ask them what their favorite move is, see if it works for you, and then just drill, and then end it out with another roll. Because rolling is fun, but drilling is where you're going to get the stuff you're going to have for the rest of your career, I think, for your time.
Absolutely.
On the mat. And go ahead, what's saying?
No, yeah, I was thinking, the reason I like to talk to everyone is just because everybody have such a nice different background, and why they started, or because of it was the environment, or because they just want to get into this. And I think we can inspire each other by listening to, but you see, like from all of us, probably I'd say that Greg has all that different background, and he was really early already into fighting and everything. And then it's so cool to see all this background and this feedback and experience that you can bring. You know, same thing Noah with Okinawan karate, everybody that have any other background, how it translates somehow. You know, it just, the mindset translates somehow. It always seep in, like, you know, in whatever you're doing now. And that's what I like to see, because for some people it's just I just want to lose weight, and then they got hooked. Some other guys, like, I want to learn more about MMA, they got hooked in jiu-jitsu. You know, like Noah, you know, and there's so many other people like that too. And just sharing all of this, I think it enriches the whole process. What Greg said also that I like, you just said too, is, so for me, I explain this. What I've been trying to do is, well, I already wrote down what would be our basic techniques that we're going to drill throughout the year during the competition class, as far as, like, say, a competition, type of footprint that we will have as competitors for this year. You know, so during the competition class this Tuesday, I'm not going to do the rotation like we did last Tuesday. So we're going to work a few guard passes, a few sweeps, a few submissions. So we're going to train 80% of the time, 20% of a game, you know, a technique. Or actually the 20% is going to be a whole strategy game. The Pareto, you know, formula, 80-20, right? So, but when it comes to your whole process as a student, for many years, I've been doing more of the opposite. Like, I've been showing more. And actually now I just changed a little bit, where we repeat more days of the same sequences. I don't know if you guys noticed, probably, so same flow for almost 2 weeks. And then now we're slightly switching. So I've been retaining the same techniques throughout the classes in the same weeks or couple weeks longer, instead of just showing one technique one day and jumping to the other technique the other day. But I'm still trying to cover as much as possible. Because again, I believe that as a brown belt, you guys should have already your full identity. But how you build your identity, going back to what Greg was saying, is not just based on what I show, but about you guys interacting with each other to discover what else somebody else discovered that worked for them. And for me, like I always mention it, I always try to mimic some of my other teammates' games. You know what I mean? Like, so I would see this guy, how this passes guard switching his hips. His name is Oscar. And I trained with him from purple to black. And I really liked his aggressiveness and passing standing. So I tried to mimic his game, even though it wasn't like maybe always shown the techniques that he was doing by my, second teacher. I would still try to mimic his game. I will watch, and let me see if I can do the same, because I liked. And like Greg said, like many things I show Silva, like, I cannot do your way. And I know that. But she already figures out like where she's gonna put her hand to make it work somewhat closer to what I do. And I don't have a problem if people changes of the little things here and there. Because like somebody said, I don't know who said, nobody really invents anything in jiu-jitsu. Everything has been there. You just discover as far as like, because the angles, the body mechanics, the different leverages and levers, they're all there. You just get the same tools and you apply maybe with a different angle and a different,
Gotta go, guys.
adapt.
See
All
ya.
right. Bye, Sean. Have fun.
Thanks.
Oh, let me show you this. So this Greg, actually you're not in this picture. How come you missed this class? See? So this guys is 2004. Me with hair, even like I combed to the side. TJ, right? So TJ, he's still with us. He's a black belt, but he works too much. Alan Carr.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he has his own school, BJJ for Christ. John, man, I'm so sad about that. It's
Yeah,
just,
I know. I couldn't believe it.
this guy was like built like a horse. Like he was so strong and
Yep.
in all natural stuff,
Yeah. Yep.
So Glover Jim,
Holy shit.
yeah, that's Jim. Look at that. Jim Fitzpatrick. This kid doesn't train anymore. Brian McCaughlin. Italo is in Abu Dhabi. Damon stopped training. He stopped, and Angelo, and this is my cousin. It's like a brother. That's 2004.
Wow.
You
I
know?
don't know where I was. That's weird.
And by the way, guys, this was pretty much the whole team, plus Greg. So I don't think we're missing anyone here.
Nope.
Hold on, Jim. Oh, Adapsella. So just Adapsella is not in the picture, and Greg. But that was the whole team. That was the whole American top team.
Yep. That was before
That was it.
American Top Team.
Oh yeah, I think yeah.
That was best way, right? Back then.
Yeah, this is like when we moved to the karate place. Liborio came, and then he gave me the, he what's it called? Yes, he said he gave me the full lifetime license. He says, "Oh, just be American top team," because we weren't that thing that in Brazil we were still representing Brazilian top team in our neighborhood. But then coming here, it didn't make sense to keep being Brazilian top team, even though like I have friends that are BTT, which is same thing. But Liborio was here, so Liborio, okay, you just be American top team, And it was good times, really, really good times. Last thing, so I don't hold you guys for too long. What do you guys feel? And you guys know that you guys can say anything, criticize, give ideas, inputs, and everything. What do you feel personally? So put it this way, but in a personal way, all right? Like a I wish type of, sentence. I wish I had I could drill more. I wish I could learn more of this. Like, imagine like you're not talking to me, but you're talking to me. Like, what do you wish that could be different so you guys could have a better, even better experience? Don't be afraid of saying anything. It's like, because I might do some changes if the idea is good. Do you guys have anything in mind?
I got one thing. Just defining competition game and talking about that with you, like finding moments to just talk through, here's my strategy for this, here's my strategy for this. What do you think about that? Just those kind of moments.
For the whole team, for you, or my perspective, or in a general perspective? You want like, just let's say,
for me,
more personal.
Yeah, for me to talk like my game, what I think my game should be with you, and getting feedback on that.
Well, that's a good idea. Maybe one thing we could do, it's like set up before April 10th, especially, because that's when we have a big tournament, right? So let's say we could do this, maybe like this Friday, if you guys could come at 8 o'clock, for who's competing. We could have a class based on, okay, competitors will come because we're not going to have that many competitors. And then we can try to define what would I think would be a good game plan individually, because, there's one thing, we train as a team, but at the end of the day, like Greg said, you're going to do some techniques that fits better how, you understand jiu-jitsu, or just the way that, let me just lower my microphone is so high. Only now I notice. Probably is a little bit better now. Yeah, so, okay, I'm gonna get you on the side. Rob, what do you feel comfortable doing it? I like this pass. Okay, what kind of guard game you like? I like close guard. I like spider guard. I like this and that. And then we build based on that. And then have a game plan and maybe have a script. But the whole thing with the script is great to have a structure, but you should be absolutely okay with getting out of the script.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But that's a good idea. Maybe I'll set up that for Friday, if that makes sense. Cool. And Saturday we have our open mat party.
Yep.
I think Ross gonna bring the turntables, and we're gonna have some DJs, and I'm gonna bring some food and something like that, so I can celebrate my birthday. Very special day for my mom. What else? Any other
building on what Rob said, I think a different way to look at it. Rob, are you white belt?
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think one of the ways to look at it differently, and which is hard when you're starting off because you're looking for someone to guide you to what you said, what my game is, or what Luigi thinks your game is. And you don't have to, this is just me thinking, but how I approach things is there's certain moves that I feel very strong with that are my go-to, that I feel, okay, I like to pass. I like to pass guard. I like to go in this type of, or I like to hold this type of guard. And then maybe it's when I do this, these moves don't work for me. How do I fix that? Because everyone defines their own game, because everyone kind of starts knowing what their go-to moves are. They kind of have their favorite moves. And then it's, if it doesn't work, what do you do to adjust? How do you make those better? Would probably be a different way of looking at it versus Luigi saying, Rob, this is your game. Because you know more what you feel comfortable doing.
Yeah, no, I'm not asking Luigi to hand me a game. I'm asking for like opportunity to review what I think a game is that works for me and get feedback on, is this really the best approach, or could I do something maybe a little bit differently with this part of a progression? And it's really more the progression of moves. Like, to this pass, to this submission, and if that submission doesn't work, go to this. And just having that sort of mentally sort of squared away in my mind before competition, I think would be very helpful for me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So tomorrow I'm gonna send with the weekly talk email. I'm gonna send a Google form, just a basic question. You guys don't have to reply like in writing because it takes some time, but just like a few questions to start thinking, like Greg said. Because I have a form similar to that when I did a mentorship type of camp with other higher ranks. That was maybe 3 years ago, where I asked, what is your favorite, say, guard pass? I asked two different questions. What is your favorite guard pass? Actually, three questions. What do you feel that is easier for you to learn? And what do you feel, actually it was four questions, just remember now. What's your favorite, say, for instance, guard pass? What is the one that you have what is the easiest one for you to learn? What the one that you don't like to practice, and what is the hardest one for you to learn? Because not all the time those questions, even though they seem they're gonna link together, not always they linked up together. Like, for instance, like, well, I always like to pass guard like this guy I mentioned, Oscar, but it wasn't the easiest for me to learn. The easiest for me to learn was pressure passes, right? Because I was always a big guy. But I always like to see how Oscar would pass the guard super fast, switching his hips super fast. So that was totally outside my natural tendencies. You know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, so many times not now as much, but back the day, how many times I heard from the background people say, surprised that me as a big guy pulled guard and I was playing a guard game against ultra heavyweight guys. And that's kind of because it's not so common for ultra heavyweight guys to play a open guard game. So people, oh, look at the big guy pulling guard. And it's not because I was trying to be different. It's because I like the guard game, even though it wasn't a natural thing for me. Right. And then sometimes it's going to be the same thing. Like, okay, I really like to pass smashing, and it's the easiest way for me to learn. Okay. So those questions can have the same answers or not. So I'm just curious. So I'm going to send this form. You guys can bring it on a Friday night at 8, and I can start like breaking that down. And then, of course, we can take some time and do this individually too, like in a separate, more private setting or so. Cool. I like the idea. See, like I already wrote down like 3 or 4 ideas. So that's why brainstorming with the new guys is important, because white belts are people too. We always say that. Anything you guys want to add? So we finish it. Thanks so much for.
You know what I noticed, Luigi?
Yeah.
Just coming back now that being gone and rolling with different belts. And I forgot this when like I first started training, but it seems like white belts, even when they get their good, they break the guard and whatever else, white belts seem like they're in such a race to create space when it should be going forward and creating that pressure. And so I see the frustration in a lot of the white belts when they go to pass. Like they'll push my legs down, they'll do a good break, and they back up so far up, they let me pull them back in and let me sweep them.
They're not engaging, right?
Yeah, it's the uncomfortable thing, right? Of being able to, it feels counterproductive or counterintuitive to go into somebody once you broke their guard. So I think that might be something just generally, because I was just looking just thinking about open mat when the white belts are there. They all seem to have that same process of break and then run away and hold the legs and stand arms extended and really far out. So that might be something that like helping white belts get more comfortable being in a spot they feel they maybe shouldn't be in.
Actually, yeah, I wrote down here, maybe for warm up, we can do a basic smash pass, like a pass that is closer, and then work maybe 3 or 4 different side controls where you have to keep chest with chest and arm. I can see what you're talking about. That's awesome.
Not that I want these young, strong white belts smashing me anymore, because it's hard enough as it is. Just thinking what I see as when they're working on stuff.
No, that's pretty good feedback too. And that's great that you with more experience are here, because I can use that as a warm-up for this week. Just like chest with chest, shoulder pressure, having that strong contact 100%, because at the end of the day, we are grappling and we want to go full contact, right? Sometimes we use the speed, but at the end of the day, control means like chest with chest, knee on the stomach, back control. And then we're going to do a flow this week too, that we're going to keep going with the counteroffensive series, let's say. I think it would be good. Yeah, thanks so much. That's we're going to add that, because again, only through this type of meetings or conversations that can find what is really useful, what everybody needs right now, and that's the goal. Cool. thank you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this day. Try to go outside, right? And don't watch the news. It's number one. Don't watch the news. Listen, by the way, because I'm gonna put this on YouTube, they're not gonna manage to split one more race against white people and black people, and because they're trying to do now separating. Now it's the Asian. Now they created the hate. Everybody hates Asians, and then we need to protect the Asians. Meanwhile, the Asians are not giving a crap about it, and they are falling for the narrative, but they're gonna push super hard. So we have to keep watching that, because the whole division with the black people already is almost like gone now. It's fading away, the narrative. So they're like bringing another one up, right? You guys notice that? So I think it's not political, but it's political. I just want to say is that, we cannot let that happen, right? Otherwise, they're gonna hate Sylvia because she's half Asian.
Well, then Latins are next, right?
Oh, she's next.
They do. Latins are next.
Oh, Latins, yeah. Well, yeah, I think so. So we cannot keep accepting this type of narratives that just keep splitting everyone and dividing anyone. Nobody's saying like, hey, we should all love everyone and have compassion and love our neighbor. That's the message, instead of keep insisting in division. Actually, it could be the same. It's almost this. You can talk about the same thing, but instead of like, oh, just point out the negative of the wrongdoings of some people, even though like this shooter, it came out he was a sex addict. I don't know if you guys saw that. It had nothing to do with because the women there were Asian. You know what I mean? Like, it's just because he went to a parlor, and then that's probably, he has his own issues. I'm not gonna go over because they're like a minor participant here, but but my point is, and that's the beauty of our gym. Like, we go to our gym, we have everybody, right? We have white, black, Latin, Asian, rich, not so rich,
Jewish,
yeah, cool, and
they say that we're Nazis though because we don't agree with the division. So
which is crazy. Yeah, I was talking to Steve about that.
Yeah.
But look, we go to the gym, and the gym is just like a neutral ground, and it's not even a neutral ground. That's life. Honestly, I think like our gym is pretty much like, I'm not denying issues, I'm not denying. Actually, I'm gonna have my playlist back on my YouTube, the Gray Matter Project, and I'm gonna have like some round tables like this. But I'm inviting some black friends to talk about their own experiences, not to agree or disagree with me. Just like I want to hear, and then I will give my account as a Latino immigrant, what I have seen, if I have seen anything, because I think it's good to bring like good conversation to the table, right? Just like, just let me hear what you think. Oh, this guy doesn't agree. This guy agrees. This guy have suffered some things. This guy has not suffered some things. All right, let's talk with no political bias about these things, and let's see how much is true and how much is not true. And actually, a great book, the Above Beyond Order from Jordan Peterson. I just started. I'm on halfway. I really like even better than his previous book, The 12 Rules for Life, which was a great book. But this other one is even better. And he even mentions in one of his chapters is do never denigrate any social institution. Let me see this. The name of the chapter, but it's a pretty good chapter. And so he's talking about conservatives and progressive people, and how we should listen to both, and then see, like, because we need to keep progressing, so we need to change some things, but we always have to think through. And the same thing, like a more conservative person will tend to not want any changes at all. All right. Okay, so the rule number one actually is then rule number one: do not carelessly denigrate social institutions or creative achievement. So meaning that, well, some things, yeah, we need to change a little bit. Some things, well, we should better keep this way. But I think like we are in a type of setting, us in our school and in among everyone in our gym, where we tend to be more moderate and we can see maybe the good in the good that is within many different things in any side of the political spectrum. And then maybe like we can just find the middle ground. But this book is like really, really good. And actually there's one chapter, a sub chapter. He talks about the importance of being a beginner. And the name is, so it's pretty good because you guys are going to see on the first rule, there's a sub chapter called bottom up. And then the following one is the utility of the fool, but not in the bad way, fool as in bad way, fool more as a beginner. And then the third one is the necessity of equals. And the fourth one is top dog. So you go from bottom up, the utility of the fool, the necessity of equals, and top dog. So it's almost like you here, and then you're a beginner and you bettering, making yourself better, and being grateful that there are people that knows more than you and people willing to share things with you, like us. And then for me, the importance of having the beginners and why we have to make sure that the beginning should be still pleasurable for the beginner. You know what I mean? Instead of being just like, get the white belts and just beat them up. I make a lot of parallels, you know what I mean? Like when I read this stuff. And the necessity of equals, like what is important. And then the top dog, like, okay, you reach that top level. And I make this parallels with jiu-jitsu. You're a black belt now, or you are a CEO, or you are say a leader in your corporation, and how you maybe should behave and still keep yourself in check, right? So there's the 4 levels of, say, progression from bottom up to top dog. And I thought it's really cool. So anyway, I recommend the book for real. It's really, really good. All right, guys, see you guys tomorrow. And I'm gonna post this on our groups. Thanks so much. You guys made my Sunday morning better. Bye.
Thanks, Luigi.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.